Happy Monday, 3249. This is your Module 2 introduction video. Last time I wound up making two 10-minute videos. Hopefully this time I can keep everything down to a nice, tight 5 to 10 minutes. All right, Module 2, we are moving on to more correspondence and job seeking. So this week we are covering two additional workplace genres. We are looking at the memo and the email. The email, of course, you've written hundreds, if not thousands of emails in your life. We're trying to separate what you do at home and in your personal life from what you do at the workplace. You're also going to learn about the memo. Memos are really the only workplace-only document that we're addressing. You might do instructions, which will appear. Those are kind of workplace-only, but you might, of course, you probably do them for school. Some of you might do them for fun. You might do tutorials for your favorite video game. I write role-playing game tutorials for my friends and for people who are interested in games like Dungeons & Dragons. So I do these things kind of for fun. The memo, however, you're not really going to encounter outside of an office or a similar workplace. We are also going to move on to discussing the resume. The resume is super important. I'm sure that's obvious. The obvious reason is that the resume can help you get a job by means of getting you an interview. We also call it important because it's your first real introduction to designing a document aesthetically. Memos and emails and letters, they do have formatting requirements, but the resume is a document that has to look good in addition to reading well and having good content. So that's why the resume is so important. Your reading list includes, I believe, 2 chapters out of Markel and Selber, it does, and 4 pieces of supplemental reading. One of which, the interactive resume from Robbie Leonardi. That's just for fun. You don't have to take it too seriously, but I do think you'll really enjoy it. The 2 supplemental pieces of content, you've got a cover letter conversion. That's going to help you get in the mindset of turning the content of your resume into a nice cover letter as indicated by the job ad. And we'll talk more about that next week when we study the cover letter. You do have a memorandum on memo assignment. That's something I wrote for my 3213 students some time ago. And what you're going to see is that it gives you some prescriptions for how to write a memo, and it also responds to issues that previous students had. I keep sharing it because most students find it useful. Not only does it give you, I think, 3 things that you can do to improve your memos, it also looks like a memo. So when students ask, like, well, what should this look like? Look at the memorandum on memos. Now that is a 2-pager. That is essentially a long-form memo. For this class, I only ever require you, I think, to write a 1-page memo. Almost all memos are only 1 page. But if you just look at that front page and see the way that it's got the memo at the top, the address block, clear chunking, subsection headers, this is all memo stuff. You expect to see that. So it's a pretty good graphic example and does give you some specifics in terms of what I expect you to do. You have 3 reading quizzes. One of them is a 20-pointer, the Companion Project 6 discussion notes quiz. Just have the notes open. When you're taking a quiz, definitely be ready to consult the reading. I don't want you doing these blind. I want you to get 100% or a 10 out of 10 or a 20 out of 20, whatever they're worth. And you can do that if you just keep your reading nearby. Your minor project next week is a job memo, and this dovetails with your midterm, which is going to be due in week 3. So what you want to do here is to actually draft a memo that is addressed to your work group, and I will be putting you in your work group this week. More on that in just a moment. Describing the job that you have found and explaining why it's a good idea for you to get this job. You could think of this sort of as a precursor to your cover letter. I don't want to see a lot of text repeating. I don't want you writing a letter because this isn't a letter. So read your Markel and Selber. Be aware of the differences between a memo and a letter. But whereas last time you wrote a letter describing what your job hopefully will be in the future, for this memo, you're describing the job for which you will prepare application materials for your midterm project. Regarding the midterm project, please don't forget that that is due at the end of week 3. You should be working on it now. At the very least, you should be looking for a job for which you could apply. That assignment, that midterm, informs what you're doing for minor project 2. So this all goes hand in hand. Last thing I want to talk about, you will be put into a group this week being week 2, aka module 2. And this group is going to help you, first of all, by doing peer review on your midterm project. And second, this is your final project group. So I'm making the groups a little bit big. I want to have some redundancy there. If somebody cannot continue on with the course, if somebody is not able to meet their obligations to the group, I want to be able to say, like, well, we went from a 6-person group down to 4. I'll tell you something, this report, 3 people could do it. But we're going to make sure that we've got a pretty much rock bottom minimum of 4 people per group, even if we allow for some pretty bad fail out. So regardless, you will be placed into a group this week. You do have a minor project due in the form of a memo. You have 3 companion projects. You've got some reading, and you should keep working on that midterm. Otherwise, that's what I want to say for Module 2 going into it. As always, if you have questions, just email me, vmalesh@fiu.edu. That's vmalish@fiu.edu. I am happy to answer your questions. I welcome the contact, and believe it or not, helping to clarify your questions helps me make a better assignment in the long run. So again, do not be shy about reaching out if you have questions, if you want to talk about the work, or if anything is unclear. So week 2, you got your work cut out for you. Definitely, again, keep plugging away at the midterm. Although I have managed or mitigated the workload for Module 3, you're still going to have less time than you think you do. So please get a jump start on your midterm project. Other than that, I'm available. Do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions or concerns, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce this week.